Hi everyone, I'm Jack. Welcome to the official IslesDen YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a lot more Islanders post-game show and podcasting content for this upcoming season, so if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. You can also find my weekly podcast on Twitter at Isles House, co-hosted by myself at IslesDen, Ethan at EthanGSN, and Rocco at Pizza Sports Guy, all on Twitter. Thank you for joining me. Isles post-game. We are here for the ugly, the good, the bad. Luckily, tonight we were here for the good, a 2-1 Islanders win. I'm joined by a special guest, Eric, who runs the Isles Ship podcast. I'll get all of their socials in the description so you guys can go give them a follow. Eric, how are we feeling after that one?
Any landing you can walk away from, right? I'll take the 2 points however you can get them. I think there are some inferences to be drawn from tonight's game about where the team stands generally within the league. But I've seen a couple people on Twitter commenting that it's the most complete game that they've played in a while. And I have to say, I definitely agree with that. They took it to Dallas. And even though they were shorthanded, I think what we learned last game is you can't not bring it even just because they're missing two of their top players. You still gotta play the game.
No, completely agree. And the other night on Isles House, somebody asked me, what positive can I take away from tonight's game against the Blackhawks? And the only thing I had was against Montreal on Saturday. They gave up a freaking touchdown. And the next game, I thought that they had a really good team win. It was a 1-0 one. They probably should have had that second goal if they count the Anders Lee goaltender interference. So I was thinking maybe we get a bounce back here, but the Stars are on a different level than the Columbus Blue Jackets, who finally lost tonight. So we await the final score, which has, of course, gone all the way to a shootout between the Penguins and Senators to see if the Islanders will be in playoff position tonight. But I'm not sure that it's as important as we maybe all think it is in the moment. I think being in a three-way tie for the Metro 2 is a pretty big development if the Senators do lose to the Penguins, and if the Penguins lose to the Senators. But if the Penguins win, then the Islanders sneak in to wild card 2 for tonight. But either way, just a big win. And Eric, what would be your preference? Would you rather the Senators win this or the Penguins win this? It's a weird one.
I think I'd definitely rather the Penguins win it, just because if Crosby, like we discussed earlier, Crosby's out. If he's out for an extended period of time, I'd rather them get the point and be ahead of Ottawa, who is also kind of beset by injuries, and with the hope that both of those teams are the teams that fall off down the stretch. But I mean, really just the worst possible outcome with that game going to overtime. I will take, honestly, of all of the four teams, us, Ottawa, Columbus, and Pittsburgh, I'm glad that Columbus was the one that outright lost. If you'd asked me ahead of time, which one do you want to lose in regulation, Columbus would have been it.
They never lose, so the possibility of them losing never even crosses my mind anymore. But finally tonight, the Habs beat them in regulation, thanks to them, I guess. But yeah, we'll break this one down. So before the game, it was reported that Isaiah George had been recalled and that Ryan Pulock would be a game time decision. And I was thinking George was going to slot in finally, but Pulock ended up being ready to go. And that was an important. He was pretty good in this game altogether, other than the last few third period clearances where he couldn't get it out of the zone. But Boquist played another game, took a penalty.
That's for sure. In my game notes, I hate game management, because during that whole zone time, Dallas was playing tough. Oh, Penguins win from the chat. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Nice. That was good. That's a good outcome. There was a lot going on in that zone time. There was some holding. Like, there was definitely a hold on Scott Mayfield. There was but there was a lot of give and take. And to call that on Boquist, like, to give them a power play. I hate game management. I hate it. I hate it so much. And look, they killed the penalty, but it's still, It drives me nuts.
So we usually wait till the end to take questions, but William asked, "Is that better?" So pointing out that the Penguins don't have Crosby or Malkin likely for this weekend, and the Islanders actually host them on Monday. So which team do you find the most passable no matter what the circumstances are? I think the Penguins actually fall in that bucket now without those two players.
100%.
So Ottawa taking a loss for tonight, also putting the Islanders temporarily back into wild card two until at least Saturday. It would have to be for them to fall out if they lost to the Florida Panthers. I think this is a good
It's a
outcome.
dreaded day game too.
Yeah, it's a trappy day game, man, against the Florida Panthers, who those teams that have nothing to play for, they're just a little bit scary because the way that they play, it's almost contagious. Like that Toronto game, it was an ugly one, and then they follow that with having to play Ottawa, going up and down against these teams. It's pretty crazy.
Everyone in that locker room wants to be a spoiler for every single game that they play from here on out. I actually have a question for you. You mentioned George being called up. You mentioned that Backwas played a game. What is Adam Backwas doing that Isaiah George can't? Why is he in the lineup?
It's a good question. And if it were up to me, I mean, I think George and Mayfield would be a nice pairing. And I think the only reason Boquist is playing is because D'Angelo's puck moving element is now absent from the lineup, and they need somebody to run power play too. I would actually go with your friend Brandon's advice and actually put Pollock there, and I would move George back into the lineup because I think George is a better player. Straight up.
In a hot second. And just keep playing Schaefer on his offside. He's clearly comfortable. What are we doing here? There's nothing that guy has shown you that George isn't going to give you. I don't get it, but
I completely agree.
Ron's a weird guy.
He is really an interesting one. So he ended up going with Boquist tonight, and the game starts, and I thought it was a good start for the Islanders. Emil Heineman finds Horvat on a rush, and Horvat finishes. Something with Emil Heineman this season is I've noticed, obviously, with his 20 goals, he has a good finishing ability. The passing and the playmaking, I think there's a lot for him to work on and develop moving forward, but that was maybe his best pass of the season, and he just no better time for it because they needed goals, and of course Horvat puts them on the board first, and 1-0 lead. It was close. It was tight, but Ilya Sorokin also just incredible. That save on the power play, and the first period really was just the Horvat goal, a Sorokin masterclass. Both teams trading chances. What were your thoughts on the first?
That rush surprised me because you look at that line on paper, Horvat, Lee, and Heineman, and you don't think, oh, this is a rush line. No, you think I look at it and I think of this is more of a possession line, like get in the zone, maintain possession. But that rush was actually very good. It was a good hold by Heineman at the line, and timing it just as Lee moved through the center and took one of the defensemen with him, and then he found Horvat. And Horvat buried it. It was a very nice play. I wish we could see more of that. That line has actually clicked really well, and I've been really impressed with it. So I'm hoping they stay together for a while.
The end of last season, the first line was Lee, Horvat, and Palmieri, and it was after the Nelson trade, and it just was not a pretty last few months for those Islanders. Obviously, landing the first overall pick, but the element Heineman brings with the speed and the shot. It's like if he can make more plays like that, he could end up being like a Palmieri on this first line in terms of just helping them be consistently productive. We'll see.
The thought I had about Heineman watching him this game is that, and I'm sure some people in Isles Twitter will laugh about this, he reminds me of a young Andre Palat, a more functional Andre Palat. I just wish we didn't have the other one, the other version. We already have Andre Palat at home. Why do we need this one?
We already got Andre Palat, and he had a game tonight. I mean, he blocked a big shot, which we'll get to. But the second period, I wanted to point out, I was listening. At first, I was on the Islanders broadcast, but on ESPN Plus, it was very glitchy. So in the second, I switched over to the Dallas Stars broadcast, and they were extremely impressed with Ilya Sorokin in that second period. The Islanders went the first 13 minutes without a shot on goal, and some of those saves on the power play. I mean, he was special tonight. The Vezina Trophy, it's just got to happen.
He's been special the whole season. The first question in the chat is, what place would the Islanders be in without Sorokin and or Schaefer? But without Sorokin, this team is a top 10 pick. It's not even a question. And you and I discussed it earlier, but if, the question is, if he goes back to being Clark Kent next season, where do we end up in the standings? And I think the answer is we're definitely not competing for a playoff spot the way we are this season.
I agree. It's full credit to him. Even after the game, I stuck around for the post game a little bit, and Schaefer was meeting with Shannon Hogan as the second star. Sorokin was the first star, didn't want to talk. And Schaefer was like, yeah, I'm not even sure what I'm doing here. It should be Ilya talking to you guys. He was unbelievable tonight. Like, those boys, they know it. They let him hear it. He is just in a different mode right now. He's absolutely so dialed. And he's something that's really impressed me most with him this season is he's got a short memory, man. This shit does not snowball. Riddick in the first period the other night against Chicago, 1 goes behind him, then 2, and then 3, it just starts snowballing and it's a meltdown. Like with Sorokin, he's able to weather the storm, and that's something that I think he's genuinely improved upon. And
I hate putting that on Riddick. Yes, he didn't look as dialed in as Sorokin did tonight, but how many goalies do? But it was the whole team that after that first goal, it was like 3 goals in 6.5 minutes. For that span, the whole team just slouched, like body.
It was disgusting.
Yes. Yeah. And just, you cannot do that for a second. You have to maintain focus. And the good news is tonight they did. Like, it was wall to wall. It didn't really feel like there were too many lapses. There was that one Barzal drop pass in the first that led to a breakaway. And there was a couple breakdowns. There was that one breakdown, I think it was in the second period, where Heiskanen ended up between the dots with a wide open shot.
Yeah.
And the commentary was like, Sorokin was like 5 or 6 feet out of his net.
It was insane.
He made an amazing save. But other than that, they really did look dialed in and focused for the length and breadth of the game, which is what you have to be when you want to be in the playoffs.
The Islanders have 9 games left this season. I think there's 2 back-to-backs. We just got to ride Sorokin the whole way at this point. How can you not?
I'm glad you said that, because I remember watching the last post game about debating, like, where do you put in Rittich? Where do you put in Rittich? I think the answer is you don't. You got to dance with the girl that brung you, and that's very clearly Ilya Sorokin. That said, this schedule sucks. I didn't realize the schedule sucked as bad as it does.
Sucks, but at least we're at home, and at least we have the hottest, best goaltender in the NHL. I just don't want to lose with the best player on the bench, not able to affect the outcome of the game. And there's some situations, like I thought Adam Pelech was incredible tonight. Like the stick, the focus, just shutting everything down. I don't know if I want him on the bench when we're in a 6-on-5 situation.
Oh no, absolutely not. He was. My thinking was he must have seen himself trending on Twitter for the wrong reasons. Yeah, and brought his A game. He really did look great. He, like, defensive defenseman. He's got to be top 10 in the league, right?
He is one of the most rare players in terms of being so excellent defensively that it just it flies under the radar at times. Yeah. He is so good at what he does, and he's not so offensive. He doesn't get a million points, but to have that defensive impact on this team, just having one guy like him, I can't imagine this team without him either. Honestly. Yeah. He is in the top 5 of players that I think have really carried this team this season. I think he's played in every game, and I can't even fathom what the lines would be. I think he's even really helped Tony DeAngelo rejuvenate his entire NHL career. Remember DeAngelo when he was playing with Romanov? It was just a mess.
Yeah. God, that was bad. Oh, to start the season, man. It was not pretty, and I'm glad. I don't want to say I'm glad Romanov got injured, but thankfully, they were able to mix up the pairings at that point and make it work. And the best part about Pelech is he's not, he's amazing on D, but he's not an empty jersey on offense. He can carry the puck when necessary, which we don't have too many D that can do that, unfortunately.
No, it's important, and we'll get to the third now. So, third period starts. Something that I liked in the beginning is I felt like they weren't sitting on this 1-0 lead. I think they truly played like it was 0-0. And then come the Barzell, Shen, and Richie line. And, they're going to work. Puck ends up in the corner, and Richie's there. He's forechecking Braden Shen in on the forecheck. And you know what? The thing is, for me, if you're not going to score goals and you're not going to collect points consistently, figure out other ways to truly help the team, because this team needs Braden Shen to help them desperately. So he's playing second line center. He's in the top 6. My thing is the Palats and the Soucies, they just need to play their role, which is now a bottom 6, bottom pair. I mean, Sousie's being asked to do a little bit more right now. Thought he had a good game tonight. Probably his best game, right?
Sousie's?
Was it not? I don't know. Whenever it just feels like more against Chicago the other night, it might have literally been his worst.
I agree with that. I don't know if I would say it's his best game. I would say it was maybe his least bad game.
Okay, fine. That works.
Look, I think he's actually had games where it's easy to say on a game where, because he's scored a couple goals since he's come over, which fluky they may be. I thought he was good. I'll say this: this is probably one of the better forward cores he's faced, even without the guys they were missing, and he didn't seem as overmatched as he did against the Blackhawks. Go figure. One of the things you mentioned, Shen, again, it feels like Shen is getting better every game for me. He and when you compare the vets that they acquired, Palat and Shen, I see doing a lot of the things that I want a veteran presence to be doing. He seems more wily out there on the ice. Palat just seems like he's not as wily. He's not as cunning as Shen appears to be. I think
Palat, I think, has some moments defensively. He had a great shot block tonight. And also with Shen, I wanted to point out at the end of the first period, I think there was a point where the Islanders were really stuck out there, and they got one fresh body over the boards, and then they got hemmed back in. They couldn't get a line change, and they really needed something to end the play. And Shen ended up blocking a shot that went up into the netting. And then on this forecheck, he wins the puck, gets it back to Polak, swings it to Schaefer. Schaefer puts it to the net, and I touched Richie, and he scores. But that is what we need. We need production. And that made it 2-0. And really, I thought the third period was back and forth. I mean, Ottinger made some incredible saves. One on Kyle McLean really stood out to me.
Beyond incredible saves. Yeah.
It was
the reason it was such a low-scoring game.
If you enjoy goaltending, this was your game. I'm sure Patrick Waugh definitely enjoyed watching his goalie just absolutely take over. And something that definitely scared all of us with a few minutes left, Schaefer, 3-on-1. Thomas Harley, I mean, that's a ridiculous play. Sometimes you just got to tip the cap. Like, that's not like a Patrick Stepan moment. Like, that is like, wow, what a play by that guy.
The block, yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They go the other way. Duchesne buries one, and then it's like, no, because there was so much time left. That
credit to the team, though. They did not do what they did against Chicago, which was, everybody's hanging there. They stuck with it. They stuck to the game plan and were able to pull it out. I wanted to talk about the Richie goal.
Oh yeah,
because one of the reasons I love Callum Ritchie is he does get pushed around out there. If you watch as the puck enters the zone on that play, he gets beaten on the boards. Like he loses that puck battle, but it ends up, I think, Shen, who rings it around to
Polak,
to Schaefer, and Richie doesn't, just leave the play. He gets beat on the boards and he goes straight to the front of the net and starts fighting again. And what does that lead to? A good bounce, albeit a lucky one. But that's how you win the tight games.
Cal Ritchie, though, deserves some of those bounces because this is a player that has truly earned every single one of his points before the last few games where he's gotten to tap one in, one hits him. Most of his points are literally capable of throwing in a highlight tape. That is how dynamic he has been, and some flashes of that have been shown all season long. But yeah, so the game ends. Islanders win 2-1. They actually got some scoreboard help. They got Columbus to lose to Montreal. They got the Penguins to beat the Senators, which puts them back into a playoff spot. And from here, unless you got anything else from the game, which we'll still get to, I'm thinking we do a little bit of analytical quizzing for you. The best lines of the night ranked top to bottom. It's a little bit surprising, I think, and I wish you good luck, my friend.
Okay, best line of the night. I want to say Lee Horvat Heineman. Is that
somehow analytically they were the worst line of the night?
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, that is kind of crazy because I didn't feel like they had a bad night. I thought Horvat defensively, by the way, was awesome in this game.
Yes, I agree. Wow.
Yeah, the analytics they trick you, man. It's all XG this, XG that. I guess they were surrendering some. I mean, you know what? They did get caught on that. They did get caught a couple of times on some of that Dallas zone time.
Yeah.
There were some times where Dallas was in our zone for so long. We were just changing and it just didn't end. And Sorokin came up big every time. So it's less memorable.
Bailed him out big time.
So who do you think was the second best line tonight? Actually, no, let's try.
Who do you still got to find the first one. I was going to say the third best line. I would expect to be the Barzal Shen.
There you go. There you go.
Third best.
That was third best. You nailed that one.
Are the analytics upside down? Is the fourth line the best line tonight?
Nope, they're the second best line.
Wow, Palat, Pajot. You know what? Holmstrom had a game.
Holmstrom had a game. So he's been having games, and I think 92 needs more ice time.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't mind seeing him in the top six, but he has so much chemistry with Pajot. Back to what I said about Shen earlier, the difference in the veteran moves between him and Palat. You see the same kind of stuff with Pajot. I feel like Pajot and Shen are very similar in their styles and what they bring to the table. And the more Shen act like Pajot, the more I'm okay with that trade because Pajot is just a guy you always want on the team. He's coveted. So, wow. Okay, so the Pajot, Holmstrom, Palat. Andre Palat, shocked to find himself on the most analytically sound line of the night.
carried by Mr. Simon. And now to the defensive pairs. Rank them from best to worst, and don't overthink it.
Yeah, it's got to be Schaefer Pollock, right?
Second best.
Okay.
But really good game from those two.
Yeah. Was the top line, was the top pair, was it Pellick and...
So this is why I thought Susie had a great game, because he was playing with number 3.
Yeah. Well, that's what Pellick does. That's what he does. He elevates.
What took place with those two on the ice per the analytics tonight is ridiculous. It is a 90% expected goal share, which is honestly, you do not see that very often. This team, the worst pairing was Mayfield and Boquist, who straight up had a rough night. Deserved to win meter 61-39 for the Islanders, but I still feel like the goaltending was just incredible. Sorokin right now had a goal saved above expected of 2-2-1, and Ottinger had a goal to save above expected of 1.
Wow. So this is another, what is it, the steal metric? This is another steal for Sorokin.
I think it could be, but so he gave up.
You add the two expected goals, it's even.
It's even,
That
yeah.
counts as
So
steal.
this actually might be a rare non-steal, but it is another game where the Islanders were outshot and found a way to win. So you did pretty well, honestly. I've struck out on that, gone 0 for 3.
The do you let me ask you let me ask you this. Do you think Pellick and Susie played well enough together that you see them stick together? Do you see George rotate in for Boquist and play with Mayfield?
So the way I look at it is the biggest defensive liability should always play with Pellick, and I thought that was Boquist, but Susie is good enough to where if he plays with Pellick, it can genuinely just be a really strong defensive pair. Given the potential strength of that, I think I actually keep them together,
Yeah.
and I do what you said.
Who was playing on their offside on that pair? Was it Susie? Because they're both lefties.
I think it was Pellick.
That's why I was so confused when I saw the skating the pregame lines. I was like, we've decided to put two lefties and two righties together.
Yeah, we haven't done that all season either. But what they're just trying to do whatever they can to figure it out, and they figured something out tonight because the Stars are a great team,
Yeah.
and it's crazy even without some of those forwards, just some incredible players. I mean, Robertson, Duchesne. I thought Jamie Benn had a good game.
All I kept thinking was Wyatt Johnson was a 23rd overall pick.
Yeah, he's special.
Is he worth? It could have been the Colorado pick. But that's neither here nor there. And honestly, my takeaway from this game is, as much as I want them to be in the playoffs, they're not cup contenders. Even if
no, we're just trying to get in, see if we can ride a hot goalie all the way. I mean, it's not the formula that the contenders have, but definitely at this point you want to get in. Let's get to a few questions. This is from Jeremy. What place would the Islanders be without Sorokin and or Schaefer? Is Eklund the next member of this core? Is he going to play in Bridgeport or on the island this year? Frondell was okay in his debut.
Last. I hope so. And I think we'll see. I think ultimately Darsh's plan is to really get the AHL seasoning on some of these guys. I think Eklund is more likely to play his way onto the team out of the preseason and out of camp next year. I mean, here's the thing. That guy's been playing in a league with men.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to have the same kind of break-in period that Yzerman will. If he goes down and lights the lamp and does some good stuff, you could see him. It's a strong possibility. His game is, from what I've seen from him, his game is very complete, and I think he's a guy that both Patrick Waugh and every Islanders fan who goes to UBS is going to be very excited about.
I would say, what place would the Islanders be without Sorokin and Schaefer? It's like Sorokin, I think, is literally responsible for like probably over 10 wins. So I don't even want to think of life without them.
Yeah.
But Eklund, as a member of this core, yes to that. Is he going to play in Bridgeport or on the island this season? If you're referring to, definitely Bridgeport. Next year, I agree with Eric. I think it is possible. What's your take on referees putting the whistle away to not influence the game? There was a hit on Cizikas late. We're like literally staring at the numbers. Another
there were a couple boarding calls. There were a couple boarding calls that went completely
Pajot at one point. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't. It depends for me. Like that was so obvious that I felt like you had to call it, but I don't know. It's a good question. What's your take on it?
I'm an attorney, so I'm a huge fan of laws, and I like when the judges, in this case the referees, enforce the laws as they're written. It drives me crazy when you choose which penalties to call, which is why it drives me a little crazy. I mean, it doesn't drive me crazy. I'm happy that Schaefer seems to get a good whistle. I remember when we drafted Tavares, and it was like, what are we doing wrong here? Because he never got any whistles.
Nothing.
And it made me feel bad that he was playing on this like downtrodden franchise and not recognized at all. I feel a little similar, like I said it earlier. If Barzal got the same whistle as Schaefer did, we would lead the league in power plays, not power play percentage, but we would have more power plays.
Yeah, my take on it, I kind of agree with you. Like, if there's a call it. If it's don't call anything soft. It really depends. Like the Cizikas one at the end of the game should have probably been called.
Yeah.
William, well, that was a more civilized game than I expected. It's because Rantanen wasn't playing. But for crying out loud, clear the puck. Yeah, Clutterbuck said it. He's like, listen, like the last like minute here, the Islanders have to make sure one thing. If you have the puck, you have to get it out, and no matter what. Don't even try to do anything else, just out. And of course, Polak, it's gloved down. I mean, Dallas is so good, man. I'm just glad they survived that one.
They're a giant team too. Like they have so many guys that are above like 6'3", 6'4". It's insane. So it's that makes it even harder because they're covering so much ground. But yeah, I do agree with we could have done a better job of clearing the puck. If we did, it might have been another shutout for Sorokin, which he deserved tonight because Jesus.
Yeah, that is one thing that does suck. That he definitely deserved that. David, I thought all hands were on deck tonight. Lots of grinding to earn the W. This is one of those games where I felt like literally everybody contributed. The only player I would say that probably didn't have a great game was Boquist, but like literally 16, 17 guys all played well. The defensemen were so committed. The forwards were committed to controlling play, and they did. And this team deserves a lot of credit because they came out and lost an absolute brutal game to lose the other night to Chicago. And that's one thing with them that you cannot take away. They are so resilient and mentally strong. They're a veteran team, and these are the things that you expect, that they'll find a way to grind these types of games out down the stretch, and that they should be over that playoff line in a few weeks. And boy, did they take a huge step tonight.
Yeah. It's so razor thin, the margins on these final 9 games. I can't even think about it.
Yeah, like if they lose this game in regulation, they are in such a bad spot.
Yeah. It's a whole
they would just be so, it would just feel so bad. Those 2 points were massive, and the opportunities ahead are going to be there. Jeremy, would you take George over Susie? Eric, you take this one for 1 second. I need to flick these lights on, so I'll be back. I'll be back.
I don't take George over Susie. I take George over Boquist. I honestly, Susie, for all his faults, does provide a warm body out there on the PK. He does provide a little bit of a bigger body. Boquist, we know what he is. I'd rather see George over him than Susie, especially as Jack mentioned, the Susie Pelech pair. Whether you attribute it entirely to Pelech or maybe to just some unexplored chemistry that we haven't really gotten to, I would absolutely run that pair back because of how well it is. What did you say? 90% expected goals for it? Like, that's how I'd be curious to see what other pairs have achieved that kind of lopsidedness in a single game this season. Your mic's off.
Thank you. You know what just hit me is we haven't seen Susie away from Mayfield. So tonight
that's a heavy burden too. Like
it depends. Like I think Mayfield is a good player, but I do not like when he is playing with defensemen that A, don't skate fast, B, can't move the puck, and it is a disaster waiting to happen.
Yes.
So,
and again, that's a question. It has felt like a questionable decision by Wah. So like if you were to rank the defensemen 1 through 6 of who handles the puck best to worst, the decision to put 5 and 6 on a pair with each other, especially when they play worse without a puck, anybody who can move the puck at all, seems like a bad coaching decision. So
it does.
My hope is that putting Susie with Pelech maybe, brings to light something that he might not have come across otherwise. And yeah, really the person I'd sub George for would be Boquist.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Boquist, like George, absolutely over Boquist. The thing is with Susie, they traded for him. He's not coming out of the lineup no matter what. And you've seen that. Like, I want to share this. This 3 years ago, Josh Bailey had 25 points in his last season as a pro, and the fan base, the head coach, they benched him for the final whatever. He didn't play, and it was his career is over. He is a really bad player. Andre Palat has half of the amount of points he did in that season. If he was being treated like just another guy on this team, he would have been scratched already, and he's not. So I know Susie's not getting scratched. As far as George goes, absolutely over Boquist, and that was really the fun of this season for me in the beginning was all of these guys getting their chances, Schaefer, Shabanov, all of these little pieces coming in, Riddick, Drouin, Heineman. Like there was an energy around this team of like a younger, an ascension of some younger talent kind of being asked to do whatever and just try to figure this thing out on the fly, keep growing as a team and win some games, try to sneak in with a playoff appearance and be a surprising story. So bringing in Susie and playing Boquist, it's like the Boquist part is what's lame to me is put George in the game. What are you risking? I mean, Boquist had the worst expected goal share I've ever seen in the game tonight. He wasn't good when I was watching him. He took a penalty. He's just not a very good player. And George
he's a seventh D. He's a seventh D, and that's what he is. There's no need to pretend he's anything else. I like to think that Isaiah George is better than that, and given that he played 33 games last year, I would like to think that Wah knows he's better than that. Whether he gets the opportunity or not, I think we'll see. I think we actually probably will see him slot in. My hope is that Wah trusts him enough to put him with Mayfield, which I honestly think he's a better puck mover than Boquist. So
and skater.
Yeah.
So I think it could work. I think it could work also. Jeremy, again, what are your thoughts on Bear and the season he's having in Bridgeport? Transparently not certified to really speak on that. I haven't watched much Bridgeport recently. And with Ethan Bear, I'm not even sure of like his point totals and stuff like that. Eric, do you have anything on that?
I don't. I feel bad because I was actually looking at AHL. I was looking at the Sound Tigers point totals today, but nothing stuck out to me. I don't really think even Warren down there doesn't really seem like nobody's outperforming in a way that would make me expect to see them get an opportunity other than George. George was really the one that stuck out. Everybody else seems to be where they're supposed to be for right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Barring any kind of massive injury.
Zoe, Dan, what are our thoughts on this Richie, Shen, Barzell line? A little bit of a mixed bag. I think Shen is best off being a bottom six center at this point of his career, but this is what we got. They made a great play tonight. They won the game essentially, and I probably would put Barzell back at center and probably move Shen down in the lineup. But at this point, you got Pajot, you got Cizikas. Those are two good bottom six centers right now. I like playing Richie higher in the lineup. I like him getting these opportunities. I would also rather him be playing center at some point. I think it's crucial to his development. But, hey, they won us the game tonight. And is it the answer going forward? Time will tell. Time will tell. I'm not super sure what to make of it just yet. They've had games like they had against Chicago the other night where they weren't that good. Anyone who's playing with 13, though, they're going to get results because that's how good of a player he is. So as long as Barzell can carry the load, and he didn't have to do too much tonight, Shen and Richie will benefit from that, especially Richie, who I hope Barzell is mentoring him just as much as Shen allegedly is.
Well, let me ask you this. Who do you think Richie, as far as his maximum potential, if his sliders go all the way up to 100%, who would you expect his game to be more like, Shen or Barzal?
Barzal in a heartbeat. I mean, you see those behind the back passes, the flash.
Yeah,
Like
that's fair. Well, but his skating isn't like Barzal. It's more
that's
like
true.
Shen. So my thoughts on this are, I still, and this is for Mike, who couldn't be here tonight, but I still think you have to play Barzal with Horvat. If you got to move Lee, honestly, I would prefer to move Lee back down to line 3 and put Holmstrom and Richie with Shen. I think that would be an interesting combo. However, I'm not really for shuffling the lines right now.
Me
If
too.
it works, stick with it. But
There are 9 games left, and we're still trying to figure out which line works. It's really been a crazy season, but we embrace the chaos, man. Cannonade. Holmstrom has been unreal on both ends. All right, let's put some respect on 92's name. He has been incredible for a long time now. This is the most consistent stretch of his entire career, and it's not just the goals. It's driving play. It's being a playmaker as well as a scorer, not knowing where he's going to go with the puck. He's deceptive. He's really good defensively. He got down to block a shot tonight. Just hope he doesn't get hurt blocking some of these shots. The penalty kill, Sorokin is the best player, but he's on it. And did you know that the Islanders have the best penalty kill in the National Hockey League on home ice? I did not know that.
That's amazing. I mean, it doesn't surprise me because their penalty kill has been a strong suit this season. I am going to give credit where credit is due. I'm going to give a shout out to Grandpa Lou for drafting and seeing in Simon Holmstrom this kind of NHL player, which is what he called all along. I'm also going to reveal that tonight I'm wearing my Phil's Facts jersey. So while we talk about Simon Holmstrom, know that I'm thinking about you, Phil. He has been absolutely unreal on both ends and just as reliable as you can be, which, not everybody on the team is like that. And it's clear he's cemented his place as part of, the core, as probably not a ton of people realize what an important piece that is, but he absolutely is. He's trusted all over. And I absolutely think that's part of probably playing with Pajot as much as he had, who is the same way.
Yep.
Reliable in all situations and just an all-around good hockey player.
I take the L on it. I really thought there was a point this season where it was November. He would gone a month almost without a point against a team that didn't have their goaltender pulled. And I was thinking, all right, this guy's never really going to be a play driver. He's in his early 20s. Like, this is a good trade chip. Like, somebody could be fooled by some of those stats. But my goodness, literally ever since that thought went into my head, he has completely changed his game. I should start roasting some more younger players because I think the best 5 players on this team are Sorokin, Horvat, Barzal, Schaefer, no order, by the way, and Pelech. But I think at number 6, I think that's number 92 now.
He's definitely in the discussion, which is great, right? What is he, 24 years old? Like, that's part of, whatever window you want it to be, whether it's the Barzal Horvat window or the Schaefer window. He's a great piece to have. And I wouldn't rule him out being a trade chip, but right now he's a solid player. And
they don't have many forwards like him at that age driving play. And he has great hands, the breakaways. It's almost like it's not an automatic goal, but damn, it's close to it. He has really improved recently. And we talk about bright spots over a season, and he's definitely one that flies under the radar. I've started to see some NHL people notice that he's pretty underrated. He scores that goal on Hockey Night in Canada. The secret weapon. It's getting exposed a little bit.
Yep.
Isles Hub, New York. Quick ones. Cannot wait for Richie to get stronger on the boards. Hey, you pointed that out. I still do not understand what Palat does and when will Shen score that big goal for us. So I find this question pretty funny, the last 2, because those 2 guys, one of my friends the other day, I was giving him shit for these trades, and he was telling me, these are guys that we got for the playoffs. So when you're asking when will Shen get that big goal for us, maybe it's in game 3 of the first round. Here's what Palat does. I'll tell you this. Palat is where offense goes to die, unfortunately. but but he has a good stick defensively, and he's an effective defensive player, I still believe, at this point in his career. So he's a low risk guy. When he's on the ice, like, he's not going to do anything stupid, and he's going to be in the right spot. And
Yep.
that he can be that last part of chipping a puck out of the zone or winning a board battle and just getting the puck up the ice. As far as offense goes, in terms of passing, shooting, other than forechecking, it's where it goes to die.
That time is gone. That time is gone for Andre Palat. Honestly, there was a lot of talk early season about the Islanders playing high event hockey, up and down, up and down. He is a low event hockey player, which if and when we make it to the playoffs tend to be lower event hockey, and honestly, what is his role long term? I could see him on the fourth line next year, and that would be fine. Will he be overpaid as a fourth liner? Yes, but he still does fundamentals pretty well. He's not going to score you a ton, but sometimes you just need to bore the other team to death.
I agree. So that's really what he brings. Jeremy, do you think Susie could be more useful when the game slows down? Yeah, I do, actually. That's a good point. And I think he could be more useful. Honestly, if he's just not playing with Mayfield, like we pointed out, I want to see a player without a partner like that, where it's basically the same guy. So we'll see if that could help him. I think it can. The thing is with me when it comes to defensemen, it's a very popular take among hockey fans, and it's something I haven't really understood. It's like we evaluate defensemen on their point totals, and I just really do not believe in that, except for two. I think every team needs 2 or 3 defensemen that carry the load offensively. Like for us, it's Schaefer, it's D'Angelo, and it's Pollock. Like those 3, okay. You want to evaluate their point totals, that's fine. But I don't give a shit how many points Pellick has, to be quite honest with you. I do not care how many points Susie has, and I don't care how many points Mayfield has. Anything from those guys is a plus because they are paid to defend. And the thing is with Pellick is when you're in the playoffs with him and Pollock as your first pair and you're going to conference finals, it's because they can defend. Like a guy we traded away like Dobson, the thing is like the hockey fans always tell me the best defense is offense, but how are you going to play offense when you have teams like the Tampa Bay Lightning who have Kucherov on the first line, Hagel on the second line, Nick Paul and Bjorkstrand on the third line? You're not always going to be able to play offense against great teams. You need to learn how to defend in your zone, and that's what I believe in. Like Gus Forsling is one of the best defensemen in the game, and he was just he nobody cares about his point total. He's just so elite back there that the Panthers
That's a really good example.
Put him on the ice, and they win Stanley Cups. It's just something that I've always believed in. Now you have a guy like Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes. Like, okay, who the hell cares? Because they actually can dominate even against the best of the best. But just a take I have on defensemen. So the point is not super important to me. I don't even know how I got on that rant.
Well, I mean, look, like we said, so he did play a good game. Is that a function of playing with Pellick? Is it a function of stepping up? I tend to think it's probably a little bit of both. He probably realized he had a pretty crap game against Chicago. But I honestly am very excited to see if Waugh goes back to that pairing, even though it is lefty-lefty. We'll see.
Me as well. So James Walsh, I crap on him a lot, but Susie played a solid game tonight. Yeah, it's okay. Like I respect this. Like sometimes we rip guys. I just told you I wasn't sure about Holmstrom as a player like when it was November and he hadn't had a point in a month, but now he's playing incredible, and it's okay to admit it sometimes. Like shit changes, new information comes, and the new info we got tonight is Susie might not be as bad away from Mayfield as he looked with him. Goodness graciously. Again, our critical trio, Ilya, Schaaf, Skorvat, carried us to victory in that order. Seems as simple. When they're on their game, we win. When they're not, we lose. Yeah, I couldn't couldn't agree with this more. I add Pellick and Barzell to this. Those 5 players literally they are so dependent on these guys. It's just simple. They cannot win games without these guys showing up. And it's why I have so much appreciation for them. And I hope that they do make the playoffs. It's because these guys have had incredible seasons individually and they're healthy. It's so rare that all of these core guys could stay healthy and be so good at the same time. So completely agree with this. We'll need them down the stretch. They got 9 games to go if they could just get us to the finish line.
And in that order, it brings it back to who do you play? Like the reason we lost against Chicago, is it because our number 1 player was not on the ice?
Well, yeah, no, seriously, they don't have margin. They don't have any margin for error. Like you can't take Sorokin out. He is responsible for why they are here. Unfortunately, like he got hurt for a little bit, and I don't know how the hell they had that record with Riddick starting for like 6 or 7 games. That's like where the wheels were supposed to fall off, I feel like, this season, and they just didn't. They found a way.
It kind of felt like a little bit of Sorokin maybe like rubbed off on him.
Yeah.
start or whatever. And look, he still had good games intermittently, but he's not that stretch that he was to start the season for sure.
There was a point in that stretch where Adam Pellick scored a game-winning goal against the Devils late in the game. Like that is how great he has been this season. Like I don't remember the game, but he definitely played an awesome defensive game and he scored the winner. Without Horvat, they're 7-5 because Barzell elevated his game. There was a game in Buffalo where they're down 2-0 and the Sabres are on their way to being a wagon and they're without Horvat and Barzell just gets a goal and then he sets up Heineman with like 20 seconds left. And like that 1 point in that game that they earned is so massive. And it's just those 5 players have been so incredible this season. Can't speak on it enough. Jack asked the Snape theory from Phil after this. I'm not familiar. Bo and Barzell had a ton of turnovers tonight. Things with me is like I'll deal with their mistakes, but I just don't care. When you carry a team this far, I just can't get on them.
Well, look at it this way. Anytime you sort a team's players by turnovers, the guys who have the most turnovers are the best players because it's the I can't remember what it's called, but it's a certain kind of bias. It's like World War II when the bombers came back and they would analyze where the holes were in the plane and they'd reinforce those places. But that wasn't actually the selection bias. The selection bias was the whole point was the bombers that made it back that's where you could get shot. Okay. Those are the guys who have the puck the most. They're going to have turnovers. Now, I will say Barzell did not seem very he was there, but it was not his game. Okay. Horvat, it was definitely his game. Barzell had a couple of turnovers. There was one right at the blue line where he went. It was a no-look pass. It reminded me of Josh Bailey, that crap that Bailey used to do where he just put it through his legs to nobody, to the other team. And it feels like a lack of focus. It feels like sometimes his focus does wane. I do want to get this off my chest. I don't understand on the power play, which was not great tonight. What were we, 0 for 3?
Yeah, it was not great tonight.
I don't understand the drop pass from Schaefer. If you do that every time, the teams are reading that. It was 2 or 3 times tonight. Schaefer's bringing up the puck, beats the first 2 penalty killers, and then drops it back. If you just skate the puck in, it's 4-on-2.
Wanty agrees.
Just let him carry it in. If Barzell's the trailer, that's fine. Let him play the point while the other 4 are establishing the zone. It makes no sense. Look, you don't have to do it every time, but if Schaefer's got the puck and he beats 2 penalty killers and the other 3 power play guys are on the blue line, just get in the zone.
Yeah.
It drives me because it wastes time, and half the time it lets the penalty kill reestablish itself. He beats them, and then they give him another chance. That's the end of my rant. I apologize, but it drives me up the wall. Uh-oh. Did I lose Jack?
is winding for me. I somehow
Is that
just
my
got
internet connection or yours?
I don't know, but we're good now. I've never had that happen before.
Okay.
It could easily be mine. But with,
I short-circuited your computer with my rant.
no, it was a good rant. With Barzell, I do agree that he hasn't looked quite like himself since that turnover. I hope it's not affecting his game. And the thing is with me, I have watched so much this season. I feel like I've missed one or two full games, and this guy is just so consistently dynamic and good and helping the team win. It's just hard for me to get on him when there's so much else that I find wrong. And he he will turn it on, and I know that he will. I feel like he'll be a huge factor in these last 9 games. I mean, they'll need him to, but it's just that turnover was it like a mental fatigue play or was it a cocky play? I just don't know if he's I just hope he's not out of gas. That's my fear.
Like, let him skip a morning skate or two. I actually have 2 points to piggyback on that.
Yeah.
The first one is, it feels like so I give him a break automatically because it feels like he's the guy who gets moved. He's the guy that's being moved around to try and jumpstart other players. Like Horvat and Heineman, they've been tight all season. Barzal gets to play there sometimes. Sometimes he has to play with Shen. Sometimes he's playing with Richie. Sometimes, like, he's the guy. He's the guy that they're moving, which shows trust, but also, like, I'm sure it takes it out of him. And the other thing is, I still think he's still getting used to having 1 or 2 extra guys that he can actually trust the puck with.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
He played so many, like those years under Trotz. He was the only one on the team who could handle the puck.
It's crazy
at all. And the fact they went that far with that being the case is beyond. I mean, Nelson, okay.
Nelson, Bailey, and Beauvillier were good.
Like a Horvat light, yes, he could handle the puck too. But like, still, he didn't have as many options as he does now. And I see it constantly. He's still getting used to it. And I see it very much in the distinction between Schaefer and the way he is willing to distribute, with the understanding that he's going to keep moving and he'll get the puck back. He'll move to open spaces. He will keep moving around, where Barzal holds on to the puck too long. Like it's, like he's Gollum and it's the One Ring, like he's very reluctant to give it up because that's what he was conditioned to do for the first decade of his career. But, and I've said this a couple times, the sooner he learns that there are guys out there that he can give it to, one of whom I think is Shen. He's shown the ability to handle the puck in and out of space to a certain degree, and I think ultimately, as he builds that trust more, he will be unlocked more. But so those are the 2 reasons I attribute, some of the mental mistakes, or some of the puck handling mistakes, the turnovers, to, at least so far.
Absolutely. So one more question that we had from James. Why do you think they're so hesitant to play George? Seems like a WA guy, fast and puck mover. I don't know. It's kind of mysterious to me. He's a younger guy. WA likes to coach younger players. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe they're just, Boquist has been sitting in the press box literally all season, and he has waited and waited and waited. So maybe they're just trying to give him a chance. Just the human side of sports sometimes. Other than that, I can't really think of another explanation of just giving this guy a chance because he's been so patient and probably been a great teammate the whole way.
I could very easily see the decision tonight having been, against this team, I want the player with the most NHL game experience. I don't want to throw Isaiah George into the fire against this forward core, against this gigantic defensive core. And let's just save him for who's next on the schedule.
Florida.
Oh, Jesus, that's not a great option either.
We'll see.
Maybe we'll see him against the depleted Penguins.
Yeah.
But clearly, I will also say sometimes the GM and the coach are not always on the same page. And the coach ultimately fills out the lineup card, but the GM makes the player movement decisions. Maybe this is Darsh trying to tell Wah, hey, try this.
Yeah.
And my hope would be that after seeing Boquist be overmatched tonight, that George will actually get to slide in one of the next couple games, but who knows?
100%. So we'll see. I agree with you. I think that there's a chance we see George on Saturday. Final two questions of the night. Comments from Ponyboy Curtis. Have you ever noticed Patty Wah's absurd facial expressions every time, literally anytime, Andrew Gross gets to ask a question? Wah usually interrupts him mid-question and looks like he wants to kill a small bunny. I agree with this. I have noticed it, actually. I watch the post games usually later than everyone else. But every time Andrew asks a question, it's like, huh? What? I don't know. It feels like there's some heat there, though, right?
I mean, I imagine with anybody in the press corps, there's going to be a little bit of friction. But yes, I have noticed that he does seem to despise Gross a little bit more than anybody else.
And lastly, I agree with this. If they miss the playoffs, boys, this is a catastrophic blunder on Darcy Boy. So goddamn awful. I hope the boys can rally around Lee, even if his job isn't on the line. Darce should not disclose that. I agree with this. I do think at this point, when you spend what they've spent at the deadline on guys, you got to figure out a way to get in here. And honestly, it's been a great season. They are 15 games over 500. Like, this is not how that's supposed to feel. They have won so many games this season. Like, in overtime, the regulation wins count more, unfortunately, but it just shouldn't feel like this. And I will have some empathy if they do not make it after the trades that they made, but I can't say I disagree.
This is the insane. So I had this not an epiphany, but just a realization. Like when they show the Chiron at the beginning of the game and they put up the records, Dallas after tonight's game has 2 more regulation wins than we do. 2.
Crazy.
2 more, and they're at 97 points, and we're at 86 or 87.
87. That's it. Yeah. So the Islanders, we will see you next time. I'm thinking maybe I'll do one post game, probably not after the Florida game on Saturday, but likely after the Penguins game next week, which will be a big one. The Islanders now are 41, 27-5. They are currently sitting in wild card 2, but tied with the Columbus Blue Jackets for the Metro 3, 1 point behind Pittsburgh for the Metro 2. Both teams have a game in hand. They sit 1 point behind Boston for wild card 1. They have a game in hand. Everybody has a game in hand. The Senators 1 point behind the Islanders, and the Red Wings, who travel to Buffalo tomorrow night, are 3 points behind the Islanders, but have 2 games in hand. And can Buffalo do us a favor tomorrow? Is it too much to ask for one of these teams to do us a freaking favor?
I'm not worried about the Red Wings at all. The question I have is, they still don't control their own destiny, correct?
The Islanders?
Yeah, they can't.
They do.
Even if
They do.
Oh, they do now.
They do, only because they actually play the Penguins, and because
it's impossible for both teams to win out.
So because they play the Penguins, and the Penguins play one of the teams that are in the middle of this shit, the thing is that's good about when those teams play each other, even as hard as they try to both get 2 points, they can't.
Yep.
So there's enough games where somebody has to lose a point to where the Islanders, they really do control their own destiny from here. Are they going to win the last 9 games? Probably not. But the ones that they have against teams like Pittsburgh, they have to take home 2 points. So next week will be a massive one at UBS.
This back-to-back, and it's games 80 and 81. It's a back-to-back against the Senators and the Canadiens. That's going to be insanity.
That can likely decide who knows where they will be. I mean, they have a back-to-back next week of Pittsburgh and then in Buffalo, which is not easy. But then they have a few days off and have Philly Friday, Carolina Saturday.
It's going to be exciting regardless. More exciting than I would have expected.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be fun down the stretch. But Eric, thank you again for joining me and
Thanks for having me, man.
and for the attire, man. Professional.
That's right. That's how we do it.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back Monday.